2, 1. All right, we're back in the KNOVA podcast where we do fitness, business, and leadership. I think we got a good one here today. Nina is out of town. That's not the reason it's a good podcast. She's on her way to Atlanta. But I've got a guest who's been working hard to get on, the one and only Tim Dougherty.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Welcome. We've known each other a little while now. I mean, I think probably 2012-ish back at Knockout Fitness.
Yeah.
Were you personal training like full time then?
Yep. That was a season of my life for sure.
Yeah.
Yours too.
Yeah. Knockout Fitness was a good time. Yeah. So you're what's your title now? CEO, owner, Project Lean Nation?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm the guy. I do it all.
Okay. So, we're just talking
I don't know if I'd call myself a CEO. Maybe chief problem solver.
Okay. Well, I don't know if there's an official title. Like anytime you franchise out or
I'd be the franchisor in that situation. Before we go any further, I just want to thank you for having me, and I really want to commend you on the execution of this podcast. I know like 20 people, including myself, who said they want to do this, and rarely do people invest the time to execute on it. So I want to commend you for that.
Oh, thanks. It was one of these things where I thought if we need to figure out a way to get better information to our members.
Yeah.
So I was like, some other coach, I'm in this coaches group,
sure,
and we talk all ideas about business and how to train our clients better and how do we get everything from better squats to better nutrition programs, everything.
Sure.
Somebody mentioned doing a podcast, why not? I was like, why not? And so I knew Nina did some video editing stuff.
Sure.
Bought some equipment. Asked my friend Nate how to set it up.
Well, now it looks like you have a real efficient strategy, and just so many people, I think, say they want to do things and then just don't.
I try to be a doer, not judge a tree by the fruit it bears, not the fruit it talks about.
Amen.
But easier said than done. But in general, I just like talking to people. I've found that this is way more enjoyable.
Yeah.
There are a lot of times I have a guest on that I personally find interesting, and then if anyone else could benefits from it, great.
Yeah.
But usually we're falling all in that umbrella now. Health and wellness was the goal.
Sure.
Now we're talking a little more about business. We meet some business owners locally.
Yeah.
And leadership.
Well, I think the things that make you effective at one thing are universal across all things. And probably you've been successful in your life because you are interested in people. That draws the world to you.
I think, maybe. I guess I didn't think of it that way, but...
You'd be interested, not interesting, right?
That's true, yeah. Yeah, it's usually the people that are most interested in you are the people you enjoy spending time with?
Agreed.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, speaking of being interested in you, so Project Lean Nation. I remember getting my first meals when you were Project Lean Body.
Yeah.
So many moons ago. I think you had just graduated from cooking in your kitchen before I bought my first box. But so where is Project Lean Nation at now? Give people who may not know what's the rundown. How does the business work?
Yeah. So at the core, we are a prepared nutrition company, but we really try to separate ourselves by providing nutritional education and support along with the food. The food is our greatest tool, just like the barbell in your gym, right? And it's something that needs constant maintenance and improvement, and we have created a culture of people who really take a lot of pride in connecting with people and taking them into our company with empathy and compassion for where they are in their journey. And our goal is to have a transformational product. We don't want them to drive, they're going to drive past every Chipotle in town because they feel our meals are going to take them somewhere. Mm-hmm. And we want to deliver that brand message.
Wow. Yeah, I know. I get the vibe a lot of times when I go into the store and pick up my boxes. Half the time, I just like how nice people treat me when I walk in. I feel like a little miniature celebrity. Oh, hey, Matt, how you doing? I'm like, I'm just fine, thank you.
Well,
just here for my box. But it really is an inviting place too. The people you've got.
I really try to do our best to attract that kind of talent to work with us. Same thing like you. You're interested in people. It makes people feel amazing. And we would say that the measure of our brand isn't what they experience when they come to our store. It's how they feel when they leave.
Okay. Very good. So give the people a little more of a breakdown of what you offer.
Yeah, sure. So we do nutritional consultations, healthy prepared meals. We have shakes that we make right in store. We have a huge grab and go business, and that started right here in Rochester, New York around 2012. Nice. I legitimized it a bit in 2015, and we went into retail in Brighton. And since then, we have we've gone through, I mean, the company's not what it was just 2 years ago. So in terms of just trying to figure out how to make mass production of really solid food product, we all of a sudden became a technology company and a logistics company. We really aimed to scale our business, and that brought on new unique challenges because we had to really take steps back to define who we are and what it is we're trying to accomplish, and really create the strategies and SOPs so it can be duplicatable, because for a while we were winning and we didn't even know why.
I've gone through phases of that on my own, just where I'm like, I don't know what we're doing right, but I'm going to keep trying to do it. Yeah, that is its own logistical challenge. I'm going to come back to that question.
Yeah.
So if I'm a person, I'm like, oh man, I need to eat healthier. I need some help doing it. I heard about Project Lean Nation. Sure. What should I expect when I come to the door? Or what?
Yeah, so that we help people who are, there's so much information out there when it comes to nutrition, and it can be confusing. And we try to simplify that process. And somebody could come through the door, they're going to be greeted with somebody who has base level education in nutrition, who can take them through a amazing consultation. We leverage a piece of technology called the InBody. You're familiar with that. Yeah. And that gives us all the real measurements of health. So baseline measurements in basal metabolic rate. Then we take them through a strategy that helps them determine their total daily expenditure. And then we make a caloric recommendation. And we couple that information with anything they share with us, interest in health, their activity levels, things like that, to ultimately make a recommendation on how many meals they should be eating a day or what else they should be doing.
Very good. And so I know my wife and I every week get a box, 30 meals.
Yeah.
And we share them, and I eat most of them.
Sure.
So I think today I had 5. I might have a 6th one tonight.
Yeah.
But I just have a very high calorie expenditure. I used to have to eat even more, believe it or not. But I find that to be one of the most convenient things that I've ever come across. The reason I can cook a lot of good things. I know the macros. I know how to have different things and different foods. But one of the best things you guys have helped me with is just it's so convenient to just pull 3 meals out of the fridge the night before, let them thaw, mostly, and then then I'm on the go. And if I want to get one extra meal on the go or make breakfast but eat 3 meals on the road, because I'm between clients, I go to different jobs. I got to make sure my employees don't fall off ladders at one job while I'm still being here on time for classes, and eating in between is very convenient.
You're hired.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that big portion of our people really appreciate the time savings and the convenience. Most of our people are coming in with a goal, right? So they want to perform better, feel better, lose weight. They have something they want to achieve, and we want to help them check all those boxes. And I think that 10% of our people are going to be like a high-end, like an athlete, like yourself. They have their stuff together. They understand what they need to do, and they just leverage it for convenience.
Yeah.
And then 10% of people are going to be at the total other end of the spectrum, where they're really struggling, and they really need more than just meals and just help, and we're there for them. Our biggest group of people that we impact the most are going to be just general pop. 80% of people, it's about 60% women who are looking to save time, lose a few pounds, and feel encouraged in the process, and get some information that helps them be effective and gives them some efficiency that helps them address maybe some other areas of their life where they could benefit.
Yeah. And so when you walk in the store, I know you got a big wall of just positive progress pictures, people before and afters, dozens and dozens of them. Is there something you see, the commonalities between people that have that kind of success? Is there something you can...
Well, I do know that if we were to boil down these conversations that we have with the clients, what they believe is that there's come a time when it takes less effort to address their challenge, losing 40 pounds, than it is sitting in it. And on the other side of that, when we just really break it down and we ask them why they want to lose 40 pounds, and it's because they want to fit better in their clothes. And then we ask why again. And it's typically about connection.
7 layers deep?
Yeah, 7 layers deep. They want to be happy. They want to feel good. And they want to connect with others. And we can give them that in the moment, So I think that everybody is seeking a lighter, more happier version of themselves. Not everybody knows how successful they can be in health and nutrition. And we're here to educate them.
Yeah, awesome. I feel like I could go a couple directions right now with this. So, how did you were a personal trainer. How did you get into the food? I can see why the two relate, but the taking on of the
Yeah, I
business
mean,
you're in
it was
now
completely...
is quite the leap from
Yeah.
personal training or even running a gym.
Sure.
So how did you go from personal trainer is a type of health consultant, right? A health coach,
Sure.
to somebody who kind of leads an entire brand geared around helping people get healthier.
Yeah, well, my background was in financial marketing.
Okay.
I spent my 20s helping public companies raise money and handle marketing strategies, which ultimately led to some trouble. Found myself in some legal trouble. So I had an opportunity to invest some years into my life into something I was passionate about, and that was fitness. Excuse me. What I found was I could be a lot more efficient if I was making my meals all the time. And then a couple of my buddies asked me to make their food. Of course, I refused. They asked me to, they told me they'd buy the proteins. So I said, bring it over. I started making the meals, and it just started there. I would say that I'm probably, to a fault, it's very difficult for me to do anything a little bit. That's a nice way of saying I'm addictive, you know.
Okay, yeah.
So I just went all in on it, and everybody started calling, and at first it was chicken and yams because that's what works best in my opinion. At the time,
used it, that
right?
strategy.
It's all I used.
You know what,
if they didn't want to eat chicken and yams, I didn't want anything to do with them.
Okay, so I gotta tell people this story about you. I remember this is back when I was bodybuilding and doing all that, getting ready for competition. You used to drink these like chicken and spinach tea shakes, which is literally, I imagine you were putting chicken and vegetables in a blender.
Oh yeah.
Blending it into water, or I think you said tea.
Yeah.
And then drinking it.
Yeah, I was always trying to find the most efficient way to.
And I did that for a while, just because you told me to.
It worked, right?
I was like, well, Tim's free Jack. I should do that too. It wasn't actually as horrific. It sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Somebody listening to this is like, that sounds disgusting. It actually wasn't.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange that it wasn't. But
Sure.
Also, I don't recommend it, just
No,
for the record.
okay.
But
Ultimately, what we realized is we had to meet the people where they are in terms of the product. So I had to take a lot of feedback, and from where I was sitting in the time, 2012, I thought that the product that got somebody there the fastest is what they're looking for. And really, what the market was looking for is a product that can enjoy it and get steady, sustainable progress. And that's what we pursued. We had to go through some production initiatives and try to become adaptable to the market. And really, I had to find professionals who could make 15,000 meals a week.
so that was actually one of my questions. Who does make your food now? I know for a while Red Osier did.
Yeah,
right?
so we got kind of referred to a couple local people. And then there was a family, they're local, they own Nathan Soup's Torcello family. Our families grew up going to church together, their parents their whole life, and we connected with them. And really, I initially brought them in to help me negotiate a production relationship with FoodLink. So, because I just didn't have the chops to do it, I didn't really know what I was getting into, so I went and tried to find somebody who would consult me. So they came to me and they made me an offer to create a production facility, and I'm the partner. So they now handle the production for now what will be 9 stores across the U.S. so far.
So take me down the list. What cities are these in?
Yeah, so right now we have Rochester. We now have 4 in Charlotte. So that's
4 in
like,
Charlotte.
yeah,
Wow.
this is like, it's killing it there. We have
Is that Jeremy in the crew?
Jeremy started one of them,
Okay,
right?
But those are
All independent.
okay.
Either guys that came from Rochester or people that we met along the way. And we're getting into this thing where we're like, they're previous franchise owners. It's like a bolt-on business for them. So they're typically gym owners, right? So we have people that own Burn Boot Camp franchises, 9-round franchises, CrossFit gyms. And this is, it's been pandemic proof so far.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't explode during COVID, but we did really well. So we also have one in Mount Pleasant, which is South Carolina. It's near Charleston. We have 2 going in Indiana, and we have Binghamton, and then we have Canandaigua, which is Sam and Chris Mandrino are opening there.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. So again, I feel like there's a couple avenues I could go with this. Like, what is the right question? So when you're somebody, do they approach you like, hey, I want to open a PLM, this is great, or do you find them and what's the process?
Yeah, so
like
100% of this has been like arm's length relationships. So right when COVID kicked off, we had some decisions to make. We didn't know what we were doing. We're concerned, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
welcome to the club.
Yeah, we had a choice. So
I had an easy time. Piece of cake. I wish I could do it again.
I always wanted to duplicate and scale the business. My initial strategy for that was licensing, and once I really got down that road, it just wasn't. I wasn't going to have maybe the ability to define the way I wanted the business to go, and I was going to have exposure. So I pursued, with the help of Simon School of Business, created a strategy for me to franchise. COVID hits, I execute it. So typically it's like a 1-year process and a couple $100,000, and I had time. So I hired a writer, I hired some attorneys, and I just gutted out all the work. I had put together content on the business for years. Mm-hmm. So really I just had to package it. So we just went through that whole process, and then that turned into, the franchise company becomes a whole nother entity and a whole nother team. So now I've put together a team of people that help me vet franchise leads, help me educate the new leads on the steps, site selection, training, everything that's involved in production. So we're just right now fully defining that, and really kind of, it's like starting over. It's a whole next level.
Absolutely. And that, a lot of the questions I had kind of just knowing coming to this conversation, like what I would ask you about like running teams, or it seems like you're probably in the process of figuring some of those things out.
Yeah. I mean, it's been an evolution. First I had to learn how to lead self.
Yeah. And then let's talk a little bit about that. Yeah. The topic of leadership is, I think, universal from business to business, career to career. A lot of situations in life are situational, but principles of leadership are pretty universal, right?
Sure.
I guess just even if you're just keeping it from what you've learned, you're even in just the local spot, running the local branch, any key things you've learned about being a leader, being in charge, so to speak?
I've really banged my head on the wall a bunch. I had to really educate myself a ton, and I've even hired people to come in and try to train my team, right? But ultimately I was the one that needed the training, and there was a time when I had to have the discipline and the awareness to learn how to lead myself, and that put me in a position where I could lead clients, and ultimately that put me in a position where I could develop a team that would lead clients, and then that put me in a position where I could develop leaders who develop teams who lead clients. So that's where we are now. So now I'm trying to develop organizations that develop teams that develop clients. And there's been a lot of hurdles and challenges throughout that process.
Yeah. Anything when you talk about leading yourself first, was there anything like number one you had to get in check? Because some of that is what I feel like. I know the law of attraction to be true. Like the best I'll ever do is like whoever I surround myself with, and if I can't seem to surround myself with people as good or better than I want to be, then I'll fall short. But those people won't find me until I'm who they're looking for too. And so I find myself sometimes in this catch-22 that confuses me and worries me, get in my own head about it even. Yeah. So with that said,
yes. So for me, I had to really learn how to challenge my beliefs, and usually my first instinct is wrong. So if I'm met with some challenge or something happens, my gut reaction, I have to find a way to challenge that, so that then I can be level-headed enough to influence an outcome. So oftentimes if something upsets me, I have to really identify why it upsets me. What kind of story am I telling myself? Where am I wrestling my ego?
It takes quite a significant level of self-awareness.
Yeah, I think that it was just like most things in my business, I had to go dig in and learn and put a lot of effort in, because I didn't feel educated or capable, but I felt called. So I just put the work in, and it's a lot of reading and it's a lot of learning, and managing outcomes when you touch them are one thing, but managing a team states away, or trying to go there and influence some positive change, or just think about it, something as small as changing a process. People are resistant to change, even when it's great, so making sure that I'm picking my battles, making sure that I am, in our business, we set everybody up, whether it's, we hire, fire, recognize, and reward, all based on our core values. And when we sit somebody down, we let them know that this is a culture of feedback, which means that if we're headed this way and you're headed that way, I can't hold back telling you that, especially if it's from the heart and it's not to hurt you. We need to share that information so we can win.
Yeah, the feedback thing can be complicated in business, right?
Oh my God.
So people will love to say, I want feedback.
Yeah.
Until they get feedback they don't like.
Sure.
Or, you know what I mean? Have you ever had... how do you deal with that? I feel like you might know the answer.
Yeah, no, I don't know if...
I
know a answer.
I know I'm sensitive to... Okay.
Yeah.
But most of the time when I get feedback I don't like, want to defend, want to get just a little bit, and then I sit around and think,
Well, it's good that you...
they're probably right, puck, and I got to go back and change it.
Yeah, it's good that you recognize how you receive it. And I think that's one thing that we've learned to do, is that when we bring somebody into our organization, whether it be a partner, a franchisee, a staff member, we ask him, what's the best way for us to share feedback with you? Because I'm the same way. I need it packaged a little bit. Yeah. Some people want it right on the chin.
I think I prefer it more on the chin. I like, with the old football coach would yell at you, like, hurry the hell up, get it going, or, that direct, like, snap of the fingers when you're getting back in line. I rather that than the heartfelt.
Well, I think there's a huge difference between coaching for performance and coaching for development. Right? So, like, if I stand next to you and I say, Matt, do push-ups, go, 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 go. That's coaching for performance. And if you're in the middle of that and I say, Matt, move your elbows in a little bit, go up and down, go deeper, go further up. That's hard to receive when you're in the performance state.
Okay.
So I think that making sure that you really have a clear idea of what the outcome you're seeking is.
Yeah.
And then coming in with that feedback and understanding that, sometimes people don't know what they don't know.
Right. But, the Dunning-Kruger effect there. Dude.
And I got some serious blind spots. So for me, like, I have to be open, and I have to have, it's not every relationship in my life, but I have a couple relationships in my life where I'm vulnerable enough to allow people to give it to me raw, how I need to hear it at times. And I think that having that accountability has kept me honest.
Yeah. I think a lot can be made up too. Like, when someone's working for you or working with you and they make mistakes, but they're making mistakes, trying as hard as they can, it's like hard not to, or it'd be difficult to like take that the wrong way. You can always appreciate that. It's when you think people are falling short, either intentionally or through lack of effort, that drives me the craziest. I don't know if
lazy.
Yeah, or just indifferent, which is maybe even worse than lazy. Like,
Yeah, it's tough. But I do a lot to if I recognize something and I feel that there's something, if something goes wrong with a client, franchisee, team member, in that moment, I always try to assess what's my role in this, and where could have I set a standard, set some ground rules, set some principles that would make sure we weren't in this position in the first place. And if I can go do that work, that really relieves a lot of the feelings for me.
Do you have a process for kind of getting ready for tough conversations, or you're just got done with a tough conversation, you're a little heated? Do you have a process for like getting yourself in the right mindset? Because you're like me, you have to go through meeting to meeting or day to day, and you can't take baggage from one to the other, right? I know teaching a CrossFit class, I have to, for better or worse, typically put the face on, because I'm not here for me in those moments. I'm here for the people that came to the gym.
Sure.
But it ain't easy, and I don't have a process. I just remind myself.
I don't know that I have a good one.
Okay.
I think to a fault, I have a little bit of amnesia. So if something bothers me, like I tend to really challenge it and dump it quickly. Like, I don't really carry a lot of stuff with me. Something may bother me, but it's usually only for a moment. And hard conversations or crucial conversations, I think, need to be had at times. And I find that honesty, and a heartfelt understanding of what somebody else might be going through, and not going in with the assumption that I know really what's going on. I think just trying to be committed to being open, and I fall short on that all the time. But I mean, that would be my ground rules.
Fair enough. All right, I want to go back to a little bit of nutrition talk,
Let's go.
if you don't mind. I remember one time you told me that you thought nutrition was your North Star. And if you got your nutrition in line, everything else kind of felt better in life. I thought that was a really interesting way of thinking of it. Can you kind of talk more about that?
Yeah, I think that, in life there's so many things you don't control, and things are outside of your control, and a lot of these things shift your emotional state. And for me, nutrition is one of the things that I can control. And when it's dialed in for me, two things are happening. For one, I'm putting the best possible sources of nutrition in my body so I feel and perform well. The other thing is I'm little by little not being steered by the temptation of the things that I would love to eat, right? It's not that I don't want to eat a donut every time I see one. It's not that I don't want to drink every time I have the opportunity to. It's just I want to tell myself, I want to try to do my best to keep the promises I make to myself. And I think that the longer I can go doing that, then that helps develop my character. And I find that if I'm a little off track with the food, for me it gets messy, it becomes something that I use to manage feelings.
Yeah.
So I think it's just an awareness of it. I think a lot of people do it. They just might not be aware of it.
No, that makes sense, being that food especially is a thing you absolutely can control. And some people, I mean, that's where certain disorders around eating show up. Yeah. But if you use it kind of like you're saying, like as a tool to kind of keep everything, straight and narrow, that makes a lot of sense.
And it's not like, these are things that I've wrestled, and even everybody that works with me to a degree has wrestled that and had an awareness of it. And, when you're hyper aware of how it impacts your life, it's good and bad, right? Because now you're assessing of, well, why do I want to eat that? And is it a worth it moment? If you're going to your friend's birthday party or your buddy's daughter and she's turning 1 and you want to have a slice of cake to share in that moment, that's one thing. If you're like smashing a box of donuts in your car, that's a different thing.
I've had both those
and I've
things.
done both.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can actually also just had a flashback. That hasn't happened in a while, but...
Well, I just need to be aware of when I'm reaching for things to medicate myself. And so I've always had to keep an eye on, since I was a young man, on things like alcohol, drugs, food, anything tempting, money, drugs, sex, whatever.
Yeah, as we all probably should be.
Yeah, you just need to be aware of why I'm drawn to things and what purpose or role they have in my life.
Awesome. Yeah, that is a great thing. Self-awareness.
Yeah.
It's like a...
Well, and the more you know, and the more you learn about it, the more you realize how unaware you are.
And so that's the funny thing. So when I always... I think it was about 6 months ago, I was taking this course to get the continuing education credits for my certification and everything CrossFit. And one of the things they were discussing in detail was the Dunning-Kruger effect, and how people who don't know, like trainers especially, they start off, I want to train and help people, and they're so confident, they think they know stuff. Yeah. And then the more they learn about training and people, the less confident they feel, the more they realize, oh shit, they don't know. I feel like self-awareness is that's kind of like a very scientifically broken down version of self-awareness. Like, the more you start to realize about what you don't know about life, the more you start to realize, like, what else don't I know? And that almost scares you. Like, scares me, I should say. Like, where I'm like, I don't know how I got to here. I've just been trying for so long, and then all of a sudden, so when people are like, how did you get to where you're at? And I look back and go, I have no fucking idea. I tried real hard, and I told the truth most of the time, And it's because when you can't like landscape it, can't draw a map to where it is, it's like, well, what next?
I think there's some even when you miss the mark, there are still huge benefits, because when I'm 42, and when I was younger, I felt much more rigid in my beliefs about things. Things were pretty black and white for me. And as I pursue a different level of awareness of myself, it really opens up space for me to have compassion and grace for others, and because I don't understand everything. I don't have a grasp on everything like I might have thought I did.
When do you think that kicked in?
I don't know. I got my ass kicked a couple times in life. And It's like those things that really kind of challenge you, really start revealing that empathy and compassion for others. And I think it becomes, it's obviously, if you can have a better understanding of what somebody might be going through, it really, especially if it's, your efforts to lead them in health, right? So if you can have some compassion for what they're faced with, it gives you a little better ability to help them be strong where they need it most.
Yeah. So 42, you just said, right?
Yeah.
Still training hard.
Yeah, still. I have a
you look like you've gone to the gym recently.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing, like the food. It's something I can control. It's not. I'm not going to the games, and I'm not going to be a bodybuilder. But I have a sweat commitment every day. I like to break a sweat, and it keeps the monkey off my back. Makes me feel good.
Now they say, like, I've been going through this kind of recently, where like I'm a personal trainer. I'm a health coach. It's my job to stay in shape to a degree. Sometimes I wonder if I didn't have that like as the absolute accountability, like if I would, because I'm not as much into the competition side of stuff. I just, for whatever, lost that fire that makes you want to like beat someone. Yeah. I just do my best. I'm like, What keeps you motivated to kind of keep pushing the envelope? Because I know you do some competitions. For the average 42-year-old, you're in elite level shape. So,
well, thank you.
But I just wonder, like, because a lot of people will be, I'm 34,
yeah.
they'll be 34 and in great shape, and like, but by the time they reach 42, you wouldn't even know. And so I wonder what happens sometimes in that gap. I'm trying not to fall into that, like, pattern. So of all these years,
I think that, I think at a young age, the pursuit of health saved my life, probably, and I think I was a little lost, and I think that it helped me find something in myself, and it taught me things, like, there's no instant gratification in this thing. It takes a while. And I think that it really makes me feel good. So good that I think that I don't see having the same quality of life without it. So it's not that I don't have to go crazy. I just like to break a sweat every day. It makes me feel good. It's like I enjoy my life better. Plus it's an investment in self. Right, so like it's another one of these things that, hey, if I put that in the front half of my day and I make that investment in myself, if that's an hour or whatever.
So you think it's kind of like a lot of the compounding effects of just time?
Yeah, for sure.
Time put in,
and I've watched a million people. Like the older I get and the more I've stick with it, it gives me a lot of confidence. And I think that in business and in leadership, if you're in shape, it says something about you. You're committed to something, right? Yeah. Like it does say something about your effort.
Yeah, I don't know if this is true. I feel like in my head it seems true. A lot of the people that are CEOs, successful leaders, it's very rare that they're out of shape slobs. Every once in a while you see like an NFL football coach who's like an overweight guy who's good at it. But even those guys, or like, I don't know, just other Fortune 500 people, like Grant Cardone, I know you're a big fan of him, right? Yeah, he's a fit guy, stays in shape. A lot of people that admire that, those guys stay in shape because it's a piece of like...
Well, I think it adds so much to your life. Yeah. It's like a lot of people don't think they have the energy to do it, but what I found is it gives me the energy I need. Exactly. It charges my batteries, and sometimes I get into, it depends what season I'm going through, like sometimes I get a little too deep in my work, and it really becomes running over to the CrossFit gym to go sit in a class with some people, helps me connect with people, break a sweat, and I think that adds a lot of value to my life.
I've always found that I like the camaraderie, like in CrossFit. It's more relaxing to just be doing. It's weird, like you'll be doing these stressful, hard workouts, but in a lot of ways, it's still relaxing, stress relieving, just hanging out with people and everyone's doing the same thing. Best effort is all that matters, kind of thing. Yeah. Versus, like, I remember bodybuilding stuff, and the mental intensity you had to get up to train every day, somewhat by yourself, or even if you had a training partner. It was like venting session, but not really stress relieving. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think there was a season in my life where I liked that. It's just when the focus was on the mirror, it's how I judge myself, and it's just never enough. Yeah. And it becomes how you judge the world, and I think it had some value at the time, but I just don't see myself ever being there again.
I used to be able to get in like the zone, right? Yeah. And just get with blinders on, music in, and like I got off on it. And now I'm like, that is so boring to me. I have a hard time. I try it once in a while. I'm like, I feel like doing a bodybuilding workout today for like the first 3 sets. And then I'm like, this sucks. What is everyone? What's the workout today? Yeah. Next class is at 4. I'll do that.
I do a little bit of everything. Most recently, I was in the Adirondack, or I was at Lake Placid when they did the Ironman, and I watched those guys come through, and I started getting the itch. Like that, I might have to pursue that one day.
The Ironman. If they could do like a mini one,
you
could do it like a tiny one, like a half a one. I could.
Yeah, they got that for sure.
Yeah, I run a 5K once in a while. I think I could run a 10K, and I'm sure I could. I don't think I want to. once it came down to actually. Yeah. And 10K is not far, depending on where you are.
6 miles.
Yeah. Is that all it is?
Yeah, I think it's 6.2 miles.
Maybe, what am I thinking? I'm thinking half marathon. That's where 13. That's where things are to go. 6 miles.
Yeah, that's the difference. At half marathon, people, when they come across the finish line, they're smiling, and a full marathon, they're not. Yeah. That's the difference.
When Kevin's training for marathons and he tells me like, I gotta go do a 22-mile run.
Yeah, he's an animal.
My brain can't. mean, I could drive 22 miles. It's going to take me an hour, depending on where we're going. Anyways, sidetrack. What else? What's going on? Anything you want to share about what's going on with Tim Dougherty? Or
just the same stuff we're just talking about. It's I've really been challenged with developing myself in the area of leadership, because now we have so much going on around the country, and I had to build a team to support myself and support those stores and figure out the most efficient ways to expand. And it's been I'm the kind of guy that needs to have a challenge in front of me, you know, and it's been challenging. So it's really stretched me, and I see new opportunities for myself to be developed, and I'm always looking for that next book, next podcast. What are you reading these days?
The last book I've been reading is Adam Grant had a new book, Think Again. It's about kind of rethinking situations you've been in, like different approaches to the same situation.
Sure.
And then especially if you haven't made a decision on a topic, how do you step back and rethink the different ways of doing things? It's been pretty good. He's kind of like, if you haven't read many Adam Grant books, kind of like Malcolm Gladwell, tells some very good stories with, a whole new angle on the story that you didn't think of before, which I like. I haven't, but...
I like that. I like anything to do with...
That's the most recent book I've read, but...
Anything to do with emotions, or challenging my beliefs, or seeing a new perspective, or just relentless analysis of your decisions, I think, really helps you
I've noticed that lately, because I've reread some books, and it is amazing the second or third time you read a book, how you continue to, because you're not the same, like you've learned from other things along the way. So if you read a book 2 years after you read it the first time, what you get out of the book, or how you interpret the stories, it's blowing my mind. So one of the things I've been doing actually is rereading a couple, and like familiar with Tim Grover?
Yep.
So I love his books. He's my favorite. I've listened or read Relentless a couple times over.
Yeah.
And each time I get some new piece out of it.
Yeah, he's an animal.
But that's a different type of book. That's like a Teliades or David Goggins.
Sure.
Sometimes I just want to be yelled at.
Mm-hmm.
Told to suck it up and get to work. And then other times it is like, Brené Brown and some little emotional healing kind of stuff. And I'm like, do you have any go-to books that kind of maybe you've read multiple times that kind of remind you who to be or how to be?
Yeah, the Bible.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I know. I always want to. I have a stack of books that I think are meaningful to me, and one of the ones I read most days is called The Daily Stoic, and I really enjoy that Ryan Holiday book. The business book that I built my business around is called Traction, by Gino Wickman, and it's a startup strategy, and I'm sure there's lots of them. That's the one I married, and that's become the framework for how I develop my company. I enjoy reading. I enjoy reading a little bit of everything now. Lately, I just finished up a book called, or I'm working on a book called Stillness is Key. Another. Oh yeah,
that's one of the ones I'm rereading.
Yeah,
that's the other one I was. Right now I'm kind of in the middle of the redo of that, and that was one of the ones that made me think, oh, I do not remember reading this last time, or I do not remember getting this feeling of emotion while reading it last time. You ever read a book just because it's supposed to be a good bock, or a friend recommended it, so you just kind of speed through it to get to the information.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, that's fine.
I'll tell you one thing that's new for me in my life is I wasn't always a reader. I think when I was young, I didn't have a lot of interest in it, and I turned about 30 and I got hungry for it.
Yeah.
And I had a little bit of time on my hands, so I was investing in reading. And I always liked books, paperback books. Mm-hmm. And this, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago, I got a Kindle.
Okay.
Now I'm converted. Yeah. I mean, I like both. I do both, but I never realized how much I would enjoy it.
My eyes would strain a Kindle or something that would bother me.
It's just easy. It's always right next to me. It's ready to go.
I think...
I don't even have to go find my page.
Fair enough. It was when I met Jeremy back in the days when I think I might have read maybe 2 books in my life for educational recreation, other than school stuff, And then he told me, should be reading a book a month or something like that. And now, I probably 2 to 3, depending on the month. Sometimes you get busy, but yeah, it's like a staple of being alive, reading.
Yeah.
Or sometimes.
Well, I think I just grew up thinking I wasn't very smart, or I just thought that I just didn't know stuff. And once I found out that I enjoyed learning, then it was like, gave me a lot of confidence.
Yeah. Well, and like how you can read things in books, not write them down, not think about it, but then all of a sudden you hear a concept in real life, or you find yourself in a situation where whatever that chapter you just read was, you're like, you wouldn't have known to apply this knowledge if you'd not read that already. So sometimes you read stuff, you don't even know you're going to need it.
Sure.
And I guess that's true in a lot of life situations, people you meet, things you learn.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there any people mentioned podcasts, but people you follow that you kind of model yourself around, or?
I don't know that I model myself around them, but I take a lot of
people
stuff
you
from
look up to, I guess. People I look up to is what
I mean, there's people I enjoy listening to. I enjoy, right now I'm pretty hardcore on that Real AF podcast.
Oh, yeah. Andy Frisella.
Yeah, I like that. I like his partner there, Ed Milet's podcast. I like The Game, Alex Hermosi.
I don't know that
he's the gym launch guy, but he's a pretty sharp guy. Remember the guy that did the CrossFit gym ads where they would make the videos?
Oh, yeah.
Leads? The guy's real sharp. And then I go on. Right now, I'm trying to learn everything I can about franchising because it's real interesting and it's real big. So anytime I can be listening to something about that, I always take that in. But I'm like a content junkie. I'm like almost always listening to something.
Yeah. Well, until recently, now that I'm on Stillness is Key, I've been trying to take some time to drive in the quiet.
Yeah.
To think. Because I used to be like that, too.
Yeah.
Always had to have somebody, I'm cooking my food, heating my PLM up, getting ready to watch a movie with my wife. I'm listening to something, and I realize I just need more downtime. Driving, every time I'm driving or working on projects, this and that. But then I was like, all right, need a little more silence to think.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I go in seasons, right now I'm on a heavy content strategy.
Your content. You're got a specific.
I'm taking on challenges that I just don't. I'm not the person I need to be to execute what I'm aiming for. So I'm constantly trying to sharpen that.
Makes sense.
And get the tools and capabilities I need to execute.
You ever been faced with like a moment of burnout, like being tired? You kind of seem like you run at a high intensity just in everything you do. You seem like you like the challenge, but I mean, you ever get a point to where you're like, I just want to throw my hands up and just kind of.
Yeah, always.
Call it a quit. I mean.
Yeah, I was just having this conversation today with a friend and who's been a huge influence in my business, and I was telling him that he's been a gift to my life because there's been times when I lose a little faith in myself, but I got a few great people in my life that I can lean on, and sometimes they believe in me more than I believe in myself, and that's what keeps me in the game. And I do run hard, but I also take care of myself, and I think that pursuing a healthy lifestyle, being active, I got a couple beautiful kids that when I'm with them, I just recharge my batteries, and I think that those are the things, I wouldn't say I have a perfectly balanced life, but I do take time for myself, and I think that helps. Yeah. But I haven't felt like I want to give up yet. Not that I haven't felt like I got punched in the face a lot.
Yeah, no. It's one of those things, I know for me, if I'm just thinking about myself, it's like, you get tired. Like, I do feel like I'm unfortunately not to your level sometimes, but I do burn at a certain intensity. I'm an emotional person. Yeah. I am, I'm not, some people might think nothing phases me. They're crazy, they don't know me. What I mean? Yeah. A lot phases me. And sometimes you just get to the point where I'm tired of burning so hot. It's a high energy, and it's like taking a week off vacation isn't enough to solve that, fatigue. So I wonder if there's anything you've ever done or know of that really helps keep you in the game.
I think, have you ever explored meditation?
That's what I've been kind of revisiting when rereading Stillness is Key. It's kind of like maybe there is a little more room for that. I've dabbled, and by dabbled I mean doing yoga classes.
Yeah. Well, I think just a 5-minute meditation in the morning goes a long way. If it doesn't get done in the morning, it seems like it never gets done. But just that small space, I think.
The space between,
I think is helpful.
But
yes, here's the other thing. I think that I do make the mistake of somebody saying, "Hey Tim, how's things going?" I go, "They're amazing," and it's not always amazing. Yeah. But I know that I haven't been faced with something that if I am patient and I don't have all of my own, I'm not polarizing all my own expectations over something, that eventually we're going to get through it.
Okay. Yeah, I can. I'm thinking about the meditation. You brought it up. So in Stillness is Key, he talks about that first part of the morning where it's quiet.
Yeah.
That's when I'd be up listening to podcasts first thing in the morning, because my mindset was, well, it's the best time. Your mind's the clearest, most open to learning. So I'd be listening to something from the go. As soon as I'm out of bed, I'm like drinking water in the bathroom, and I'm like listening to whoever, And so now I'm trying to utilize that space to listen to the silence in the morning, to just literally eat my Project Lean Nation meal, 6 to 4 in the morning, 6 in the morning, whatever day it is, and enjoy the silence of it. And then I've actually found lately I've gone more refreshed into the day. We'll see if that continues. But that's about the closest I've gotten to meditation.
Yeah, I've had a morning routine for a decade, and I just made a decision one time that I was just going to put myself first, and not just wake up and start chasing everything on everybody else's time. And I do a little time focusing on my faith, and a little journal, a little meditation, a little learning, a little reading. And I think that it's the most valuable time of my day, for sure. And I think that the days that I miss it, I feel like I cheated myself. So I really try to hold myself accountable to investing that time. First things first. Do the same.
Very good. I would imagine that same thing of treating yourself first starts, like we were talking about at the beginning, nutrition, daily exercise practice, people you surround yourself with. We'd say here at the gym, it's nutrition is probably numero uno in being alive. Yeah. Sleep is probably A1. Yeah. And then you got your exercise, movement of any kind. I mean, it could be hiking, it could be yoga, it could be CrossFit, bodybuilding, all the good ones. And then it's typically stress management of some sort, where I think a lot of the meditation or different things we've hinted at. Sure. Even book reading can be relaxing.
Absolutely.
And then community. Now, not to put community last, because that could cross over into all the other areas too, even just the way you eat is a community-oriented event typically. But so that's what we always call 5 factors of health, which I love just for the record, definitely stole from Ben Bergeron. I'm not ashamed of that. But that is one of the greatest breakdowns, that because you were talking about things you have control of. Mm-hmm. And so many other things, genetics, or what happens when we leave here today out the door. We have no idea, really. Probably can guesstimate it, but no idea. But those
it's not promised. That's for sure.
It's not promised. And yeah, think about that a lot too. But the 5 things you can control again: nutrition, sleep. And depending on how many kids you have, you may not control your sleep. I've been learning that from friends recently. But anyway, movement, stress management, community. Yeah. All right. Did we go deep?
I think I'm here, man.
I said, did we go deep?
Did we? Yeah, I think we scratched some surfaces.
Yeah. I didn't know where our conversation would go, honestly. And I was like, all right, I just know that Tim kind of bounces to the beat of a drum I like. Plus, I think the business you're in directly helps a lot of people that come to our gym or the community that listen to our podcast. So I was like, I wanted to hear some perspective from, I guess.
Yeah, I just want to mention that we're just so grateful that we've been... that the community has utilized us, right? Because this is, I'm thinking we're going to be a 10-year overnight success at some point, but we couldn't have ever got here without strong ties in our community, people supporting our business, and we, full disclosure, we know we haven't always been the business we are today, but we're always trying to get 1% better and do better by our people, and this isn't a business anybody's getting rich at, right? This is but we would consider ourselves a double bottom line business model. We know we impact the health of a community. Mm-hmm. And that's something that makes it a little easier to get up in the morning and be excited about.
Yeah. I mean, everyone, well, I don't know if everyone knows this, but it's pretty common knowledge that, money doesn't buy happiness, right?
Sure.
So, but people sure spend a lot of time pursuing it like it does, only to find out that it's actually the purpose that you were hoping to fulfill on the way that's made you happy. If you lose the purpose, that's why some people will quit a job making who knows how much just to go restart the journey at another place.
Sure.
Whether it's a different industry or a different business. I've seen that at least. And I know for myself, it's like I'm in a position now, or we're doing work now. Like things I know as a trainer. Like, so I look back 5 years ago and I'm like, oh my God, they were paying me to do that. Or like, even 10 years ago. And
Sure.
it's like, but now along the way, it's always just been the pursuit of getting better. It's the people along the way. I mean, the endless relationships, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, sorry, that was down a tangent there. But you've offered, you're one of the people from the community. You saw a need. I don't think I even knew food companies before I pre-registered Lean Nation. It seems like there's a lot more.
Sure.
They're popping up all over.
Yeah. Well, I think when I found it, I don't know, maybe 15 years or so ago, I was traveling in California. I saw a place called My Fit Foods. Thought it was a pretty cool concept. And since then, I think like it's going to be anything that saves time and makes life convenient, right? So food is going to make sense. Everybody's going to have the food. It's our goal to be everything beyond the food. So, and every, business wants to get out of this brick and mortar thing. And I think that we're going to live there. We want to offer a unique experience. We want to consult people. We want to support and educate people. And I think that in the end, it may be a little volatile along the way, but we're going to be rewarded. And in ways maybe we might not even know now.
Yeah, I have a feeling you're going to do quite well. I think when I saw the last couple franchise openings you were announcing in different cities, I wasn't even surprised. I was like, I saw this a couple years ago at least,
Well, I appreciate that faith. We've worked really hard, and it's incredibly gratifying to see somebody jump in with both feet and commit and win. We want to see people do it. And this thing has been, between us and the podcast listeners, we've faced insurmountable challenges that we feel that if it wasn't for a bigger calling or blessings from God, that we wouldn't even be here. So we all feel grateful to just be part of it. And we know it's far beyond me. I might have been the genesis of what started it, but all the people that came along the way that saw my vision and then layered and stacked their vision on top of it, that's how we got here.
I feel like you just told me what your favorite part of the business is, maybe.
Yeah.
But do you have any moments, like the most rewarding or the things that stand out to you as like an oh my God moment? I'm so glad I got to be here.
Yeah, just this past summer, I'll take you back. I started this business when a time in my life when I was at Crossroad, rough place to be. And my son watched me make chicken in my garage for my 5 clients, right? And then this past summer, I was able to take him on a little tour where I showed him 9 stores or sites. And he hasn't been able to see that, and I've been busy, and it's been, 9 years of work. So I just think what I've been able to instill in my children is that you don't have to be the smartest guy, or you don't have to have the money. If you're willing to put your head down and do the work and develop yourself, and you have a passion for something, that anything is possible.
That's a good place to bring this conversation down. That's awesome. Yeah, and it's funny sitting here talking to you about this stuff now, just to know you, because I'm dirt poor country boy, like wasn't good growing up.
Yeah.
To just have the conversations, have some of the clients I've had over the years, and some of the people I've got to work with. Jerry Got being a good guy. It's funny how the idea that the people that are doing well or enjoying life are somehow special or super brilliant can't be true, because if I could go from where I started to even here, let alone to wherever life takes me, it should be something that everyone seriously takes seriously, because if they're in a bad spot, like you mentioned, you really, if you are willing to do the work, if you're willing to, I remember saying to myself, I don't care if I have to work twice as hard to have just as much, I'll work twice as hard as the people that have whatever privilege or whatever, the ability. And my wife and I have gotten on this trend of just every 6 months we pick a new place to go travel. And I'm like, I can't even believe I'm fucking in a position for this to be a thing. And that's not like, we're not rich, but we're just, when you come from where I come from, it feels that way sometimes.
I think
in a silly way.
I come from I grew up in a similar situation. I had some really tough challenges in life where I've been tested, and I think that those are the things that gives you a little edge, makes you a little gritty. And if you have the courage to believe and you're not afraid to do the work, we live in an amazing country. And especially if you have a purposeful venture that helps and serves others, that there's nothing that's not possible for you.
That's true.
You could be traveling the world every day at some point, I'm sure.
Oh, God. I don't like traveling in planes that much, to be honest with you. That is the process of going to the airport. So maybe once a week. But, all right. Well, Tim, thank you so much for coming today. Like, honestly, it was good having a good conversation with you. I think you have a lot of great insight, on business, but just, personal well-being, I guess, is, how to take care of yourself, how to be self-disciplined. It's not easy. And sometimes if you're, doing the job, building the business, it can look easy to people, but to hear you actually talk about it and be like, wow, this guy, he's a real person with real things on his mind, and he just happens to kind of stay a little bit more disciplined or a little bit more focused. It's kind of almost comforting to hear, I guess, for me. I'm like, oh.
I thank you for having me, and again, I'm proud of you for doing what you're doing here, and it's difficult, and I believe you have a talent for it. So keep bringing people in and looking for those words that, like you said, that could encourage somebody who thinks that life's easy for people.
Yeah. If I can keep it together between my ears, I think I'll be okay. We'll see. It's,
you're well on your way.
I don't know why. I've talked about this on other podcasts, but at times that I just have I think you do too, probably. We have an inherent drive to want to make a difference.
Yeah. It's
just figuring out how to do it sometimes, or following through on what the plan has to be, which is easier said than done.
Execute.
Yeah, execute. Yeah, that's always the game changer. It's funny, a lot of good ideas died on the mail, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been In the Nova podcast with Tim Dougherty from Project Lean Nation, the sort of CEO.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. We'll see you guys next time. Comment, share. Feel free to ask any questions you guys have. We'll forward them to Tim. He'll send them back over.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. And boom.